This is the CBA3 review. Number 1, find the area of a rectangle whose width is 2x minus 5 and the length is 5x plus 9 as a simplified polynomial. So we have the word area and we also have a rectangle. Since there's no picture, it would be helpful to draw it. The width is 2x minus 5 and the length is 5x plus 9. All right, area. When you are finding area, what is area? Area equals length times width. You do need to show up knowing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in our numbers. We have our length is 5x plus 9. It says so right here. And then your width, we're going to plug in is 2x minus 5. When they are side by side like this, right here, this means multiply. So you are going to be doing multiplication. How do you multiply things where you have two things in the parentheses next to two more things in the parentheses? We call this a binomial times another binomial. So there's two parts in each. So what we're going to do is we are going to FOIL. And this will show how we're multiplying this 5x times both pieces in the parentheses next door. And let's go ahead and do that. 5x times 2x, 5 times 2 is 10, x times x is x squared. Then we're going to do that 5x times, and this is a negative 5. Remember to include the sign that goes in front of it. 5x times a negative 5. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, and don't forget to put your x. Since we've multiplied 5x by both of the things in the other set of parentheses, now we're going to switch and we're going to start off with plus 9. And that's a positive 9. And remember, whenever you go across this middle piece, you're going to say that you are multiplying, that you're doing times. So a positive 9 times 2x, 9 times 2 is 18. And then there's an x on it. Then we're going to do this positive 9 again times negative 5. So positive 9 times a negative 5. Let me switch colors so you can see where it's coming. Positive 9 times a negative 5 is going to be a negative 45. Then we have to go through and combine like terms. So this stuff in the middle right here, both of these pieces, both of these terms have x's on them. So we have 10x squared. And then we're going to do and then we have negative 25x and a positive 18. If you need help on Desmos, you're going to put these together. And we have negative 25 and a positive 18. So if you type that in, it's actually going to subtract and give you a negative 7x. And then we have negative 45 that comes right down. And then I'm going to go look at my answer choices. I see negative 7x's in the middle, but I don't see a negative 45. And I also, if I'm looking at the front, do not see a 10x squared. So I'm looking at this one, but I do want to go back and double check to make sure I didn't do something wrong. So let's see again. 5x times 2x. Yep, 5 times 2 is 10. So the answer is going to be none of the above. And to check ourselves, what we can do is we can go on to Desmos and we can type in what we got, because it's weird that we don't see our answer. We want to make sure that we get all of our test points. We can type in what we got and see if what we got was right. If you're using your phone at home, you can use Desmos.com, and then as soon as you get on that website, you're just going to hit Start Graphing. If you have an iPhone, you can also download the Desmos test mode. All right, so for number 1, the question was 5x plus 9, and then we were going to multiply that by 2x minus 5. You have to know, if you're going to type that in, that area equals length times width, so you type them in side by side. And then I got 10x squared minus 7x minus 45. And if you'll notice, my red parabola disappeared, and I'm just kind of shrinking by putting both fingers on the axis to smoosh it. So the red one disappeared, which means the blue one that I got was right on top of it. So we did do the math correct. So the answer is none of the above, and that is okay. It is always good to check your work to make sure that you are getting all of your points. Number 2. What are the solutions to the quadratic function in terms of x? So basically, that's just asking you to find solutions. Your solutions are on your x-axis. If there's not an equation given, we're saying that it's equal to x, and so we're finding the zeros. So the zeros are going to be right here and right here. So this one's easy. It's right on that -2. So I need a -2 and a -2, and I don't see it in B, and I don't see it in D. So I'm going to use my process of elimination to also help me. And now this is a careless mistake that a lot of students will make, is they see this is a 3, and they get all excited that they have a 3 here. But this is not correct. This is not the same. This is not just a 3. It is a -3. So please be careful. We are looking for a positive 3. Answer C is going to be correct. For number 3, what are the domain and range of the quadratic function? We like this kind that has the dots on the end, so you can remember the ghosties that we have. If it is a solid circle or a solid line going around that goes like this, we use or equal to. So it looks like he's got little bags under his eyes. On the other side for this circle, whenever we have this, it's actually that dashed line around our ghosty. And then it's the open circle, and it's just less than and greater than. Can you tell that's a ghost? There we go. All right. What are the domain and range of the quadratic function? So now we need to go back and actually look. Domain is going to go left to right. Remember, we need the little number on the little side. And then on the equality next to the big side, we have the bigger number. So again, we're going left to right. So how far to the left does the graph go? It goes to this point. When we're talking about domain, we're talking about on the x-axis. So the number that we need should be right here at -7. So we have our -7. Can it be equal to a -7? Yes. Why? Because it is a solid dot. And when it's a solid dot, we use the or equal to. On the right-hand side, this is left and right. On the right-hand side, how far to the right does it go? Again, we're getting our numbers from our x-axis. So how far to the right it goes, that point. And again, we're not looking at how high it is. We get our number from the x-axis, and that's going to be a 3. Right between a 2 and a 4 would be a 3. Can it be equal to 3? No. So it does stay just a less than symbol. When you do range, range is going to be your low, and we have to do low first because it's next to the little side of the inequality, the smaller side. And then over here to high. What is the highest it goes? All right, so low, starting off with low, it goes all the way down, it dips all the way down to here, and that is at -3. Can it be equal to -3? Yes, because it is a solid line. When it is a solid line, that goes back to our ghosty that has the solid outline. Because it is solid, it is okay to have the equal sign. Range talks about the y-axis, and something that we didn't do at the very beginning, but we can, is we can remind ourselves about Dr. X, Y, and that might help you with your letters if you need it. How high does it go? The very highest it goes is up here. That is going to be a 12. And can it be equal to 12? Yes, because again it is a solid dot. So we need to remember that whenever we are doing our range is actually getting our numbers from our y-axis. So the two numbers that we need for range are on that y-axis. Number 4, which expression is equivalent to? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go type in my numbers on Desmos. We're going to type in a 3, a 2, and then on bottom we're going to type in a 12. So let's go type that in. And while you type it in, I'm just going to do it by hand. 6 over 12 is going to give you 1/2. On your Desmos, when you do it, it's actually probably going to show you a 0.5. And remember, you can always change your decimals to fractions by hitting the button in the blue margin that looks like that. All right, so that means a 2 needs to be on the bottom. So let's go look at our choices. A 2 is not on the bottom. What about this one in answer choice B? Well, that's on the top. That's not on the bottom. And some of you might be saying, how do you know it's on the top? There is no fraction. Well, you can always make something a fraction by putting a 1 under it. So is that going to be a 2 on the bottom? No, absolutely not. Is this going to be a 2 on the bottom? Yes, and a 2 on the bottom. Now we can go and we can expand our letters. I'm going to focus now on x's. X squared means that I can expand it like this, x to the second power. The next x I see is this one, and we have a negative exponent. A negative exponent, he's unhappy being on the top of the fraction. And remember that our exponents go with the one thing that's next to it. It did not go with the 2, and I didn't even mention this at first because I didn't even think to look for an exponent because there was no exponent with the 2. So I don't want y'all to get confused about that. The negative 3 only goes with the x. So the x to the negative third power is unhappy. So all of that is going to move down to the bottom. So instead it's going to say x to the third power. And when we move it, it is happy. And I'm going to give him a little bit higher exponent. So x to the third power on bottom looks like this. He moved down to the bottom and he was happy. And now we have another x right here. And the same thing, I didn't even look at that 4 whenever I was focusing on the 12 because exponents go with the one thing next to it, which is just the x. So x to the 4th is happy, so we write 1, 2, 3, 4 x's on the bottom. And now we start going through, and if we have the same things on top and bottom, we can see if they can divide out. So these will divide out, these will divide out, and all of these are left. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. So that's where this 5 is coming from. Now where are they? Are they on the top or are they on the bottom? They're on the bottom. Since they're on the bottom, they need to stay on the bottom. And again, if we have the middle piece and you're confused about whether or not that's a fraction, remember, you can always turn something into a fraction by putting the line under it. So this answer choice could actually be written like this. And that might be a little bit more clear. So we want it on the bottom, which is answer choice D.